Have you ever hit that sweet spot where everything's going right, doors open, and opportunities magically appear? That is what golden alignment is all about. Dr. Beth Golden loves to play in that golden space and teach others how to get there and stay there. Get ready to listen, share, and experience what golden alignment in life can look like for you. Now, here's the host of Golden Alignment, author, speaker, and coach, Dr. Beth Golden.
Hello, and welcome to today's show of Golden Alignment. I will be the talking head today, and it's been a very interesting time with lots of planetary energy in retrograde and many eclipses, and sometimes I remember somebody saying, well, those things are so far away, does it really have any play on our life today? So I guess if you believe it does, it does. But I have found that a lot of things in my life have been being unearthed. It's like preparing the soil to be planted, and sometimes it can be really hard and compacted, and you have to dig down and shovel and get all the dirt clods out, and sometimes that's not a very comfortable experience. And we need to be able to process in the discomfort in order to create and co-create changes in our lives. And I have felt all twisted in knots until the past few days. You know, it would really manifest itself at 4:30 a.m. I live in Colorado. It's been quite warm here. And so I would think, oh, I'm waking up at 4:30 with my eyes wide open, my heart pounding because I'm hot. Well, I may be, but that in more ways than one. But that wasn't the issue. I was feeling really tense about a lot of different situations in my life. And I was tense and holding on. And of course, at that hour before the light of day, you know, we can really ruminate on negative things. And I know better. And I would lay there and think, okay, thank you for this day. Thank you for the comfort of my home. Thank you for my animals, and start giving appreciation and doing breathing exercises and speaking out loud what I wanted for that day. And yet this switch kept going day after day after day. And it's really interesting when you can have a conversation with one person and hear one thing that changes all of that. And I was a mastermind, and we're talking about, well, what makes you feel aligned and comfortable? So we're talking about where we were out of alignment and how that felt in our body. And I was tense, and the opposite of that was to relax. And I had an experience where I had been applying for jobs. I think I work with a lot of women, so I tend to focus things towards women. I am single and pay for everything and have for many years. I raised my kids through teenagehood on my own. And I'm grateful and proud of myself for being able to do that. But for me, money has been a source of stability. So if that is out of balance in my world, I don't feel stable. Everything else feels scary and frightening and constrictive. And what am I going to do? So I don't know if you feel that way, but I knew that I needed to take care of that issue in my life in these past couple weeks, so that I had the firm foundation to move from a place of love, joy, peace, and gratitude, instead of tension, constriction, fear, and grumbling, which was where I was at. And so I am over 50. So this job process is interesting, where you send out your application electronically to a gazillion places and hope and pray that you get something back. So I was in one of these tense states, and of course I was really tired because I was up at 4:30 in the morning, and I laid down and I took a nap, and I was awoken by a phone call. And the phone call was offering me a position for something I had applied to and interviewed and didn't hear from them for a week. And I got another job the next day. So not only did one come, but both came that I could make a choice that was best for myself. And they're part-time, which is great because I can create around them. And for me, it creates a great routine and stability and focus to do the other things that I love. So that was really exciting, and it came from a place of relaxation. So think about where you are in your life right now, which may be causing you some stress. So life is all about relationships, whether it's ourselves, our money, our parents, our kids, our loved ones, our work, our community. So usually our stress comes from a relationship of some sort. So take a moment and just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And think about the one thing that's concerning you above all else and how that feels in your body. So think of a feeling, not necessarily the description of that feeling. And then think of the opposite of that. So for me, the opposite was relaxation. For somebody else, it may be like let it be, release, let it go. Some it might be being calm, wanting to be in a peaceful state. And every time you get into this place of tension, think of that one word, that one opposing word, which has a better feeling and a better vibration, and go there. So every time you're tense, or every time I'm tense, I think relax. So that could be taking a nap, that can be walking my dogs, that could be going and doing something with a friend, so that I'm relaxed and I'm allowing the universe to move on my behalf and create the life that I'm dreaming of and sending out these rockets of desire and, getting the wheel turning. And then if you're constricting, you stop the wheel or you make it go backwards. So we want to be in a place where we're feeling good and full of joy and trusting. Oh, I know what my word was, controlling. Why would I forget that? That's been a constant theme in my life. The illusion of control, because I like to create order. So if you like to create order, you'll feel that too. And people might call you controlling or why do you need to know everything in advance? We all have our own special way of expressing. So trusting. And I was thinking about trust. And I have 2 dogs. They never worry about if they're going to be fed or they're going to have a roof over their head or if they're going to have water. That's not a thought. They're just relaxed and hang out and go along for the ride. And when we do that, we create a vibration that is going to attract those things to us. So, wouldn't you like to allow more of what you do want in your life as opposed to less of what you don't want? Of course. And all that takes is focusing on what you do want more than what you don't want. And our brain, our neural pathways can actually unwind. When you have a consistent thought, positive or negative, creates a neural pathway. So let's look at a thought that's negative, and we've thought about this for years and years and years and years and years, and we put that needle in the record, and the groove gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And all of a sudden, we switch to the opposite of that thought. We switch of what's in the future and what's exciting and what's happening and where we do want to be, and we keep our focus on that. They have literally have pictures of neural pathways unwinding, kind of dissolving, and creating new ones. So I don't care what age you are, old dogs can learn new tricks, okay? And we are what we think about. We create what we think about. We're responsible for what we think about, because what we think about, we bring about. So it's really important to think about what you do want. Wouldn't you like to achieve a better feeling life? That's what I was talking about. I was not feeling good, and my discomfort was expressed in tension. Now, if that goes unchecked, that can go into a disease state, and all diseases are due to stress. So we need to come back to a place of slowing down and knowing who we are and making choices in the way, do we feel good? Does this feel good to me? Does this feel right to me? We're gonna talk about that process, about aligning and then acting. What if all you had to do was ask and then allow yourself to receive? Now, my show is called Golden Alignment, and I always think, what is golden alignment and why is that important? Well, it's aligning your physical being with your soul, your higher self, God's source, so that you are one and creating positive motion or direction in what you're doing and thinking. That is golden alignment. And it's really, 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 really important to find alignment first before you take action. Now, we find ourselves in a point in time where the subject of relationships is really an active part of our life, because anything we perceive or notice or know is about relationship with something else. So without a comparative experience, we wouldn't be able to perceive or focus on any kind of understanding within ourselves. So we're always in this kind of, I always look at it as a figure eight. Okay, I don't like the way this feels. Let's move into a better way that it feels. I don't like the way it feels with this person. Is that a reflection of me? What do I need to change? And taking an action. So it's pretty accurate to say that without relationships, we wouldn't exist at all. So we're going to be taking a look about our relationship with self and how that affects the world around us. We are going to go into our first commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about finding alignment first and then taking action and how that looks at home, at work, and within the community. So I'm excited, and we'll pick this up on the other side of this commercial break.
Do you want to create change in your life based on your values? Do you want to love this experience we call life because you are living in alignment with your soul's calling? Do you want to expand your relationship with abundance and move from surviving to thriving? By tuning into Inspired Choices radio show, Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You'll be amazed by your golden health, wealth, love, and magical opportunities. Listen for the Golden Alignment radio show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Welcome back to the Inspired Choices radio show, Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden. To participate in this program, please call U.S. 815-880-8255. Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You may also choose to comment by email by going to www.drbethgolden.com. Now back to Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden.
Hello and welcome back. You are listening to myself, Dr. Beth Golden, and I host the show Golden Alignment. I work with clients who are going through some changes in life and they need some clarity to, achieve and feel better on both the personal and professional side of life. And a lot of what I'm sharing today, things that we discuss, I do have a step-by-step system that we can walk through that creates a really firm foundation. Now, I have said this many times. I have spent thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours on business coaching programs, and all that information is pretty much the same, expressed in different ways. But if you do not know who you are, what you want, what are the main things that motivate you, and how to stay in alignment with that, and how to communicate the best to get what you want, and so it's a win-win for everybody else, you're not going to thrive. It doesn't matter how much business information you know. So my course gets back to the fundamentals because as adults, we forget that, and we have to get that firm foundation. Now, we're talking about a fundamental stability before embarking on any journey or goal setting or business. And if we just venture off haphazard, do you think that that is a really good foundation from which to work? Now, as much as I've taken all those business courses, of course, they've osmosed into my brain. And if you're not clear about who your client is, you're like a boat tossed upon the sea because you are not creating that laser or that light for people to follow. And sometimes people are so desperate in, especially coaching fields, I have found, to have a client that they'll just take anybody, and it's not to the coach's benefit or to their clients. So you really do need to be specific. So finding alignment first and then taking action is a really good fundamental way to gain stability. A lot of times we look outside of ourselves for approval and what is the standard of the world or our community, or do we want a partner's agreement, or do we want to please a partner or a parent? Doesn't matter how young or old you are, we always kind of want that parental pat on the back. And when you learn to align with the essence of who you are, and that you are a one-time miracle walking this planet, and that you chose to come into physical form, and we're actually this giant spirit who is in a 3D dense body, and a brain who can either align things or screw things up royally. When we know who we are, we don't need those types of affirmation to move confidently and to move with purpose and to move with power. So it's really important to align first. And as I have said, I have an assessment that really shows the nature of who you are, what motivates you, how much energy you have, how you download information, connect with the world around you, commit things to memory. So when you know that about yourself, you can make choices that are pretty consistently in alignment with who you are. So rather than plunging headlong into conversations or decisions, it's time to just take a deep breath and look at your behaviors and choices so you can achieve a sense of true stability, and then keep coming back to that stability. And I know that this is an interesting example, just inviting a friend to an event, whether it's a dinner or a business thing, I am much more appreciative if they just say, you know what, thank you so much for the invitation, but I have a commitment. I won't be able to make it. It's like, okay, great, thanks. I'll keep thinking of you. It's not an insult. I don't mind hearing. I expect no's. I expect people's lives to be busy. But you can't be tossed and turned by other people's lives. You need to know where you are and be really centered. So let's think about this. Remember the art of alignment first. So we're going to align first and then take action. Align first and then take action. I needed to relax. I did all the action steps, right? I sent out resumes. I had numerous interviews. And I couldn't squeeze the neck and make it happen just because I wanted it to. So align first, then take action. Align first and then have a conversation. What if there's an area of conflict and you need to have a conversation? First and foremost, the conflict is about you and not about them. And when you understand that, you can have a conversation that's not going to put the other person on the defensive, and that you can actually come to some positive results. An example, I am feeling really frustrated. I know it's coming from me, but when we are in this situation at work and you may call me out in a group of my peers, I feel really embarrassed and ashamed because I feel like a child who's being chastised in front of everyone. So I don't know if that's your intention or not, but I would really appreciate it if you would remember to pull me aside if you have something to tell me rather than doing it in front of a group of my peers. And I think that is a much easier way to resolve it. Or is that your intention to embarrass me? And it puts it kind of in their lap and it opens a conversation. But we need to align with what we need, how we want to be treated, how we want to feel in the present in any given situation. We need to align first, then interaction, align first, and anything else. Sounds like it takes a lot of time, doesn't it? Well, I have a story about this engineer, and he was a managing engineer and was really, really busy, and they had these huge projects, and it wasn't going smoothly for him, and he was feeling really, really frustrated, and he stopped and said, wait a minute. My life, I need to go into partnership. And the person he went into partnership with was who he called God. We all have our name for God, source, universe, higher self. His name was God. And that he took every morning, and he took 1 hour before he went to work. And anything that was troubling him, he would say, this is troubling me and I need discernment about. I need you to move through me. I need to be given wisdom. I want you to bless this project. I want you to bless this employee that I may be having a challenge, and give me some idea of what's going on in their personal life or work life that is creating this kind of conduct. And when these big contracts come in, please go before me and give me discernment. Well, his business and his area of management just was thriving, grew like crazy. And when someone came up to him and asked, wow, you've really turned this around. What's the secret to your success? And he said, well, I chose to have a partner, and that partner is God. And the guy kind of didn't want to be insulting, but he kind of looked at him and said, your partner's God. That works. And he said, well, if I have a partnership with all-knowing, all connected to all source, don't you think that this is proof of the pudding? So sometimes you may need to change your habits in order to align with your higher self so that you're downloading discernment about situations that can be bothering you. There was another story about this woman who was feeling really resentful, and she and her husband were married, and he was a traveling salesperson, so he was away from home more than he was at home. And they had children that she was raising, and they lived on a farm that was actually a functioning working farm. So she was in charge of the farm hands, making decisions about planting and selling, making sure the equipment was okay, taking care of the kids, schooling, feeding. And she began to get really resentful. She was tired. She was pissed off because she wanted help and he wasn't there. And why did we get married? And I love you, but you come home and all you want to do is rest. I have all the responsibilities. Now, I know many of you are living that right now. When both parents work, the mama tends to take on most of the responsibilities. And what happened is all of a sudden she started losing energy because she was focusing on negative things, but the crops weren't doing well. She was going into debt. She was concerned about how she was going to pay her help, the farm that helped on the farm, and having to borrow money, which caused more stress. And so one day she took a drive and went on top of this hill overlooking the beautiful valley where their land was, and just sat and took a deep breath. And she realized that her resentment was causing constriction in her life. And it's kind of cool that she could turn it around pretty quickly. And she started giving thanks. And thank you for my beautiful home, and thank you for the children, and thank you that we have the ability to grow food, and thank you that people want to purchase the food, and please create the flow, and I forgive myself for creating this, and please forgive me for my attitude. So she drives back down the hill, and her neighbor comes up to her and says, I really need to buy some equipment. Can you share your knowledge about blah, blah, blah? And she did, and she goes, well, actually, I have some of that machinery that we're not using, and I would be happy to sell it to you. So they worked out a deal. She sold the equipment that she no longer needed, and he did. She was able to get out of debt, and everything started flowing smoothly. So think about what resentment or anger might be blocking in your life. What kind of flow would that be blocking? Is it a loving partner in your life? Are you pissed off at your husband, so every time he's around you're snarky, and then he's defensive and he doesn't want to be at home, and then so it's this never-ending cycle? Take a minute and think about that, and think about how turning it around and being grateful can create flow in your life. We are going to go into our second commercial break. You are listening to Golden Alignment with myself, Dr. Beth Golden, and we're talking about how being aligned first with who you are helps you make great decisions in life, and decisions that keep you charismatic, attractive, and powerful, and actually more powerful than a million people who are not aligned. So we will pick this up on the other side of this commercial break.
Do you want to create change in your life based on your values? Do you want to love this experience we call life because you are living in alignment with your soul's calling? Do you want to expand your relationship with abundance and move from surviving to thriving? By tuning into Inspired Choices radio show, Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You'll be amazed by your golden health, wealth, love, and magical opportunities. Listen for the Golden Alignment radio show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Welcome back to the Inspired Choices radio show, Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden. To participate in this program, please call U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613 800-8736 or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You may also choose to comment by email by going to www.drbethgolden.com. Now back to Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden.
Welcome back to Golden Alignment with myself, Dr. Beth Golden. I work with people, helping them gain clarity for personal and professional growth. And we begin with a foundation of knowing and loving self, asking for what you want and why, creating a plan of how to get there and kind of a time frame that you want to do that in, and how to ask, allow, and receive. These are fundamentals for every area of life, and when you can continually go back to these fundamentals, you're going to see success in every area of life. Prior to our break, we were talking about alignment, of course, aligning first. We're talking about how resentment can cause constriction and stop flow in your life. Resentment, anger, unforgiveness towards yourself or others, self-flogging, all of those things are on the lower scale of Dr. David R. Hawkins' emotional scale or frequencies. And we want to be sure to start spiraling upward in a clockwise fashion to better feeling thoughts and feelings, and creating ultimately a vibration of love, joy, peace, and gratitude. And some of you, when you're in a place of great grief or despair or tension, it's like, well, I can't jump from where I am to there. I can't even see that right now. Well, you are correct, but we can take steps together to get you into a better feeling place without having to make a huge leap that can be feeling virtually impossible to do. So it's interesting that all the historical masters and healers in time understood the value of personal alignment first. Now, I'm going to say this again because I think it's really important. When we deliberately seek and find alignment with who we really are, we are more charismatic, we're more attractive. That could be physically attractive, but that could be attractive in the way of being magnetic, attracting things instead of pushing to get them. We can be more effective because we know exactly what we want, and more powerful than a group of millions who have not achieved that alignment. That's big, a group of millions that have not achieved that alignment. Any great leader has achieved that alignment so that they're able to make decisions that people trust and will follow. I will not give commentary where that leadership thing went in my head. I have very strong opinions about that. Oh, and we want to control the conditions around us so that we can feel better, right? I want to be here and they need to do this. And if my partner only did blah, 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 then I would feel better. Or if I reach this goal, then I would feel better. But that's really, really flawed because it was never our intention to control everything around us when we came into these physical bodies. It was really our intention to control the direction of our thoughts. And as we control the direction of our thoughts to a better place and a place of feeling good, our emotional guidance system, better and better things come forth in our lives. So let's go back to that asking. It's very important to ask and to look at the emotional guidance system. And any time we feel discomfort, like something just doesn't feel right, there's a disconnect between what we're seeing in the outside world and what our soul or our higher self knows to be true. So let's say our parents, the old adage of, I want my son to be a football player, and yet the son's soul is saying, I am not a football player. I am a contemporary dancer. And he is feeling shamed or guilted because he wants to please his father, and yet his father thinks he knows best. We come in with a specific calling. And this is a really high order because I hope I'm not the only one who gets totally irritated with people who do dumb things right in front of me. Let's walk across an adult. Let's walk across the street without looking and I have to screech my brakes on. It is difficult to be in this place of knowing that each of us are individuals. We each have a different soul calling. Our soul calling was to co-create and create wonderful things in our life. And as we do so, we have expansion. And the only way, or the greater part of the way that we create this expansion, is to have the duality of what we don't want. And every time we experience something we don't want, we create more clear boundaries about what we do want. So I always say it takes a long time to grow up, and I bless those young people who have that stability at a much earlier age, and I can hope and wish and pray that that happens more and more often. And the other side of that is that there would be greater respect and love and reverence for the wisdom of people who have gone through a lot of different things. All right, let's take a deep breath here. Let's talk about asking. Asking for what we do want. Sometimes we are considered really selfish when we put ourselves first. But if we don't put ourselves first, quite often we end up being miserable or exhausted. I can remember being in a family situation. I don't remember the specifics actually, but I do remember being called, "You're so selfish. All you do is think about what you want." Well, duh. We're all made to think about what we do want first. It's just a matter of communicating properly and in a way that the other person can receive that. We need to be full of self. Selfish, self-full. We need to be calm. We need to know exactly what we want. We need to clearly state that. And when our toes get stepped on, we need to be able to respond in an appropriate manner in the moment. Have you ever had a friend who you really love and respect, but they can feel negative, or they're kind of like sandpaper to your soul? I laugh because I've had, a couple of experiences in that way, but anybody that you're in relationship outside of yourself is a reflection of an aspect of yourself. Oh, I hate this having to be responsible for all sides. That's the other part of gaining wisdom. It's like, so that person's bugging the crap out of me because I think they're rude, because it's pushing a button in me I don't even know it's there. And then we separate ourselves because it doesn't feel good to be around that person. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We can love and forgive people, but they don't have to be in our presence and create this vortex of chaos. I think it's very, very important to be able to separate ourselves and create the things that we want. There was a couple, and he had that same thought. He goes, okay, his goal was to make several $1 million. And he wasn't there, and he knew he had to separate himself for a period of time to switch gears in his head, kind of come together, tighten up, come in, have some solitude, to create the energy for that and to create the plan for that and to play out the plan. And he was very, very focused on this. And it was a little frustrating for his wife because they used to socialize a lot. And he was removing himself from a lot of social engagements. And they sat down and talked about it, and he was sharing, I really want to up level. I want to be in the big game. I don't want to be playing small anymore. And in order to do this, I need to separate myself and then create relationships within that arena. So she agreed, and it took about a year, year and a half, 2 years. His business picked up. He was playing in the realms that he deserved to and wanted to, and they were then socializing and creating relationships with like-minded, like-hearted people. So what areas in your life are you willing to pull in a little bit? Think about the things that you need and want. What kind of changes do you want to achieve in your life? Change! I hate that word change. It's disruptive. Well, guess what? That's all there is in life is change. We can determine the change, we can choose it, or we can let life happen to us, right? So let's choose what we want in life, take the steps that we need to get there, and do it in love, joy, peace, and gratitude. And those can be the feelings that we want to gauge everything against. Now, in one of my earlier shows, I spoke with a Mr. Mark Greger, and he had a period of time where his world was falling apart. And oftentimes when our world is falling apart, we are under construction. There is a greater plan in our life. Sometimes we have to tear things down in order to rebuild them with a better plan. Have any of you ever remodeled a kitchen? You have a plan. You had to get cabinets, and it took time to get the cabinets. So you had to tear yours out to put the new ones in. And you have to buy a sink and decide what type of countertop material that you are choosing. And then you purchase it, and then someone comes out and measures, and then they come out with the cutter and put the countertops in place with your sink. Then you have to hire a plumber. You don't have to, but they recommend it. A plumber to hook up the sink and then create a backsplash. This does not happen overnight, and it is destructive and messy and dirty. But you're not going to stop in the middle because you know that there's a plan, and a plan for something to come out in a much more beautiful way. This is a perfect time to stop. We are going to go into our third and final commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about be kind, because we're all under construction. And we're going to look at some things in our life where we're under construction, and then we'll tie all these points together and bring the show to a close. You are listening to Golden Alignment with myself, Dr. Beth Golden, and it is my joy to serve you. And we will pick this up on the other side of this commercial break.
Do you want to create change in your life based on your values? Do you want to love this experience we call life because you are living in alignment with your soul's calling? Do you want to expand your relationship with abundance and move from surviving to thriving? By tuning into Inspired Choices radio show, Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You'll be amazed by your golden health, wealth, love, and magical opportunities. Listen for the Golden Alignment radio show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Welcome back to the Inspired Choices radio show, Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden. To participate in this program, please call U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You may also choose to comment by email by going to www.drbethgolden.com. Now back to Golden Alignment with Dr. Beth Golden.
Welcome back. You are listening to Golden Alignment with myself, Dr. Beth Golden, and we've been talking about how important it is to align first and then take action. Align first and then have a conversation. Align first and then have an interaction. Align first and then everything else. We've been talking about that it is okay and necessary to be selfish, to think about what you do want as opposed to what you don't want. Keep your focus on what you do want. Asking, allowing, relaxing so that you can let those things come in so you're not so full of tension. And it feels really good when your yes is your yes and your no is your no, and you're not feeling guilty or having second thoughts or second guessing the decision that you just made. Well, if you're new to this game, this can sound very overwhelming and uncomfortable. And if you've been putting your toe in the water for quite some time, you can relate to many of these things. So let's look at the fact and compare it to being under construction. I have driven by different developments, residential developments, where the homes have been in various stages of completion. And I live in Colorado, as I've mentioned, and we get these crazy storms that pop up and torrential rain and high winds, and then they blow through and they're gone. If you go to a construction site where there's no landscaping, it's dirt, some framework, there might be wood, placed on the ground next to that particular home, and one of these storms comes through, you're going to see the cement foundation of the house sopping wet, puddled, the wood wet, and sometimes roofs blown off. But does that mean that the architect and the construction company is going to stop because one thing came along to throw them off for the day? No, they have a master plan. And the master plan, when complete, is beautiful. And each of our lives have a master plan too. And the cool thing about being a human being, being a soul in a physical body, is that we get to co-create in that plan. We get to partner in that plan and create different things at different phases of life. So if you're feeling like your life has blown up, you might be in the midst of a divorce, maybe someone's passed away, maybe you're feeling the empty nest syndrome and you're feeling lost and alone. That doesn't mean that that's the end. Every day you get up is another day to keep moving forward. There was a story about a pastor, and it was said that he would never, ever, ever start a church. Well, he did. He started a church. And he and his wife chose to get a divorce. And they didn't want him in ministry because they had gotten a divorce. So felt discouraged, went into a different line of business, met his wife. They fell in love. They started another church that was very, very successful, but churches are interesting beasts of themselves. Then the parishioners were dissatisfied and angry and upset with the progress and kicked him out of the church. So here's this man who knows he's called to ministry and has been asked to leave two churches for different reasons, is married to now the love of his life with 5 children. And they decide to start a church in this old granary, and they named it Lakeside. And that church grew and grew and grew, and God had his hand on him, and he was blessed and loved, and he was able to pass that church on to his son, who felt inadequate and had to go through his own process, and that particular person is Joel Osteen. There might be landmines in your life right now. You are under construction. So let's go back to the beginning and let's keep it really simple. Align with yourself first. Take time each day. You might need to build up to an hour, but 10, 15 minutes each day to appreciate yourself, to love yourself, to know all the greatness, and there's only one of you, and how amazing and intricately made you are, and that you're here for a purpose and a plan, and ask. There are a host of heavenly hosts who want to help you in every single way, and the heavenly hosts will bring the right ones to you for that particular request, whether it's for a parking spot or clarity about a partnership or a love or a course of action that you're going to take. They will be there to guide you. Align, focus on what you do want. You are a co-creator. I remember the first time I heard that word many years ago, and I thought, what the heck is that? We get to choose our lives, and we are responsible for everything in our lives. Our lives are all about relationships. If we did not have relationships in our lives, we would not exist. We need to examine those relationships and see how we feel. We need to be in a state of well-being. If you are continually in relationships in a variety of areas in your life where you feel horrible, it's time for you to make some changes. Now, when you make those changes, you're going to be living in discomfort till you get through them. That's that under construction part. Be in appreciation and gratitude, because gratitude changes attitudes. It elevates your personal vibration. It gives you courage to take positive action and take responsibility for who you are. And ask, and then be in that relaxed state I talked about, to allow. Every time you feel that tension in your body, think calm, or I am at peace, or what do I need to do to relax and let go? And see what wondrous things come into our lives. Because often when we have a plan, our plan is very narrow, and the universe or the big chess game in the sky, as soon as you think about what you want, they're starting to create that order and bringing the people and places. And we need to be very open about how that's going to be coming into our lives, and be open to receiving and be open to new possibilities and opportunities. Luck is when preparation and opportunity meet and we're ready for it. Being in alignment is able to say yes and or no without guilt or shame, and you can be at complete peace that you're being well cared for in your decision. I want to thank you for listening today. This is a topic I think about every day. I think about relationship and how to make your relationships better and a place of ease, joy, love, and grace. If you are in a place where you're feeling angst and you would like some support, I would be more than happy to do so. And my contact information is on the Inspired Choices Network. I can be reached at beth@goldenalignment.com, and I would love to be of service. Thank you for listening and being here with me today. Remember to love yourself first. Remember to choose the things that make you feel the best, to do it with love, joy, ease, and grace. Take care. God bless.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Golden Alignment. Dr. Beth Golden will return next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, enjoy playing in that golden space where health, wealth, love, and magical opportunities appear in golden alignment for you.